Hey everyone, welcome back to another CRUBCAST spoiler cast. Today we're going to be talking about Superb Man, who we love dearly. We love a good Superman. With me today, I have two people that I'm not going to let introduce themselves. I have Moriarty and All Hail Buckets, two very important people to me, and maybe important to you too. Guys, how are you feeling today?
Incredible. How about
Please
you?
talk over each other. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay.
Cool. All right, so a few hours ago, or a few days ago, something like that, we just watched Superman perfectly legally. We went to the theater together. And it was interesting seeing the different emotions that came out of you two while watching it. And while I want to get into that very soon, first I just want to talk about how did you guys feel about the movie, starting with you, Mr. Ixert Moriarty.
Yeah, I mean, I have my initial takeaway when I came out of, watching the film was, hey, that wasn't nearly as bad as I expected it to be, which is probably not, a shining recommendation, but I feel like I should explain that I really am not a fan of, what do they call it? Cape shit at this point, right?
Like, yeah, Cape slop.
I'm just not a fan of it anymore. Right, like it's gotten to the point where it all feels really samey and it's kind of boring. And so, to come away from it feeling like, yeah, that wasn't as bad as it could have been is actually a pretty shining recommendation.
Yeah.
I kind of back that to a certain extent. Like, I have never cared about the Superman character, but this movie actually was like really, really good considering that. Like, I went into it not expecting much, and I came out of it like with a pretty darn good experience. Like I really enjoyed it, actually.
Well, that makes me happy because I know, Bucket, you don't watch absorb the same type of media that I do, so I'm really happy that you're able to enjoy this movie.
Yeah, it was good.
So I saw this movie, I want to say opening weekend. I don't think it was the opening night. And the feeling in the theater and all that was a feeling I haven't gotten from a superhero movie in a very long time. It felt like everyone who cared to be there were people who ended up being very excited for the movie and really, really loving it. And it does feel like there's something different about this one, and we'll get into that in a second. But just in general, there's been a little bit of, I wouldn't say controversy online. It's probably just a very vocal minority of people that are just like, this is too happy, this is too comic accurate, too colorful. And one thought that I wanted to bring into this that I thought of last night was the perception of, I guess, what's the phrasing I'm trying to think of? The idea that people want something more fantastical, no pun intended, for another movie that just came out, something a bit more out there and colorful and giving you that escapism. Do you think that, like, do you guys personally feel like that kind of need for escapism is just higher than usual right now? And do you think that's one reason people are kind of resonating with this movie? Or do you think that...
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I mean,
so to me too.
So, like, yeah, right. One of the big things that I've seen about this film is people saying, oh, it's too, I don't know, light, right? It's too light. And I really want it to be serious. I want to be a DC dark Batman, right? Why didn't Pa Kent die immediately, right? Like that kind of stuff. And I don't agree with that at all. I think we knew going into it that this is a James Gunn adventure, and he made Peacemaker, and that's the most recent DC thing he made, and it's not going to be a whole lot different than that. And before that, he made Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's not going to be a whole lot different than that either. And that's fine, right? Like, I have no problem with it. And I think that it's great that we have different interpretations, because you look at like the best of the superhero films, right? And I think kind of universally we could agree maybe that Batman is the character that's been treated the best by the most number of films, right? You have the early
I can agree with that.
Tim Burton films, right? And then you've got the Nolan films, and you've even got the kind of the fun wacky films in the middle there, and then we've got the most recent Robert Pattinson films, and you're able to see the same character in a whole bunch of different places, and each time they're being treated very differently. Not all of them are super, grim, dark, and not all of them are kind of, showing everybody being murdered all the time, right? Like that's not happening in every single one of these. And I think we're fine with it. I'm totally okay. And I feel like I'm going to kind of front load this because I am going to complain.
That's fine.
I am going to complain about
Appreciate
this film.
the disclaimer.
Because I have some complaints. None of them are about the character.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
I have complaints about this film, and none of them are about the fact that they decided to make Superman just kind of happy-go-lucky and fun. I think that's totally fine. It is okay to have a fun film. When we look at superhero films in general, right? Like Iron Man is goofy as hell. That is not like, eventually you get the sort of really dark Marvel stuff going on there. But the early part of the MCU is just kind of happy-go-lucky fun. They're just making fun films. And in fact, Iron Man pre-MCU, right? Because when the first Iron Man came out, there was no MCU. It was just a fun film. It was just a film intended to entertain. And I'm okay if a film is just intended to entertain. That is fine. But I am a critic. This is what I do. This is literally like how I built my channel, and this is who I am on the inside. I'm critical, and so my issues are still going. I noticed them, right? And I've always been a big fan of the statement that you can like something and still recognize it's bad.
Yes.
And so I think that Superman has some serious flaws, right? And I think this is a very, very flawed film. And I think that we know why, right? Like, we can extrapolate all of the reasons why, and all of it comes down to David Zaslav and Warner Brothers being just the shittiest company that exists, right? Like, just what a terrible company. They make bad films, and they're stupid people, and David Zaslav is an actual moron, right? Like, I didn't expect that Bobby Kotick would retire, and then they would be like, we should put up a worse version of him now, and he's going to make movies, right? Like, I didn't expect that. So my issues are there, and I think that they all come from that. But overall, I think the film is enjoyable. I think that this is a film that if you don't like the MCU, you would probably enjoy this, because it's not the MCU. It's very different from the MCU in a really good way, in the same way that Guardians of the Galaxy is not part of the MCU, right? Because like the MCU is really, really bad. It's really, really, really unwatchably bad. And this isn't unwatchably bad, but it does have problems. So we'll go into that after Nico gives his takes, but I think that's kind of a good summation of where I'm at.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
I think,
where are you at, Bucket?
I came out of it really, really enjoying the movie. I was incredibly charmed by David Corn Sweat's portrayal of Superman. I thought he really crushed that role. And then I realized he's a Philly bull, so I just like him a lot more. And I've seen some like interviews with him, and he seems like he's like kind of just like a kind of the perfect guy to play Superman. And so that just seemed like a huge thummy uppy. Lex Luthor was actually kind of rad as well. Like, that's like a character that I think it's hard to pull off. Especially like the live action incarnations we've seen recently. It's nice to have one that's like kind of
Jesse
Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to
say
have one.
Heisenberg. That's the wrong guy.
Yeah,
That is the wrong guy.
it's nice to have
Say
one
my
that's
name.
actually threatening. I didn't, I do like not generally love storylines that are like framing somebody for something.
Yeah.
But what I appreciated about this movie, and I'm going into some spoilers
Yeah, this is a good
now.
time to get into spoilers.
So one of the things that I appreciated about it was that, like, the dirt that they had on Superman, the quote unquote dirt, was actual real.
Mhm.
It just, the circumstances just were not what it looked like.
Yeah.
And so I like that they kind of like didn't write themselves into a corner with that. And then I usually, I thought they wrote themselves into a bit of a corner with the pocket dimension thing, but it was nice that they got themselves out of it, like, as well, with not too many ex machina moments,
Yeah.
So there was that. I also have problems with it as well, because I stand with Moriarty in that I liked it. I thought it was really enjoyable, but it does have some issues. Perhaps I'll pass it back to M for a second,
Okay.
and then I'll get into mine.
I have a list.
agree.
I've
boy.
written down a list.
Yeah, that'll
right?
keep things on
So
track.
I am happy to go through. I have 7 problems with this film, and they start at like pretty serious problems, and then they kind of move from there to not so serious problems. And so I'm more than happy to go through them. And if you have the same issue, then we can talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely, just real quick to get this off my chest, I'm definitely the most apologistic towards this movie. I have far less complaints than you guys do, but that's par for the course for me. I'm kind of pathetic in that way, I guess. Like I came out of this movie the first time thinking this is a perfect movie. Like I have no complaints, and it's because I guess I should say this before we get into the more critical aspect of this, like kind of getting my biases out of the way. I grew up with really bad family trauma, especially daddy issues. And so there's those 2 specific scenes with Pa Kent that just threw a lot of my critical brain out the window. I'm like, this is making me cry. This is because of how I am as a person, that in ways that I can't control. I'm trying to recognize that so I'm able to criticize this thing properly. But wow, this movie feels like it was kind of tailor-made to make me bawl my eyes out.
Sure.
So I just kind of want to get that A, out of the way, and B, share that with you guys because I trust you with that information. Before we get into the more critical side of things. But
well,
yeah,
and even when we're talking critically, right? Like, I think it's really, really important to kind of state that we had fun watching this, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was no part where I was sitting here going, "Oh my god, I hate this film.
Yeah.
God, why am I watching?" Like,
I don't know, man. You were saying some funny things while we were watching that.
That's true.
Yeah,
there were
but
a
that
lot
wasn't
of,
like I
we cracked
hated.
a lot of jokes.
No, I mean, no. I was referring to the time when Moriarty said, "Travis, why are we watching this together? I want to go home."
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that did happen.
Oh, hold on. I think we lost you, M. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
I think
we
you
lost
did. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, welcome back.
I'm here. So, like, yeah, I have my problems with the film, but it was fun. It was an enjoyable time. I had fun watching it with friends. Would I have chosen to put this on, like, sitting at my couch by myself? Probably not. I'm not that fan. Like, this isn't the show that's for me, right? But I'm not going to go on and put in any sort of superhero thing either. I'm not going to go watch any of the latest. I've never seen Quantumania, right? Like, I have never seen it, and nobody has convinced me that, boy,
Dude,
I really
you're
need
missing
to,
out on the little jelly man that goes, "I have holes."
Yeah, I just don't need that in my life.
Jellyman.
I just don't need it. So, like, I just want to be clear that my biases are that it was fine. It was fine. Right. Like, and if you want to come away from this with like, oh, IGN 7 out of 10, you can. That's totally fine. Right. The observations that I'm going to go through in my list are much more like I don't know, wish list items that could have made this film really, really good, as opposed to make a bad film better, right? Like, so I'm going to start off with my number one issue, which is the pacing is terrible. This film gets everything resolved way too quickly. This is sort of the exact opposite of what Nico just said, but like, it really bothered me that this thing somehow both felt rushed and dragged out at the same time, because the film seems to have like a completely muddled script, right? Problems are introduced and then they're solved almost immediately without any real weight. Major conflicts get wrapped up in minutes. The movie lurches between comedy and drama with no real transition, and nothing really seems to have time to breathe or feel earned. Right. So you have this like serious emotional moment immediately followed by a stupid joke. And then that problem is suddenly solved and we're moved on to the next thing. And I think it can be sort of best exemplified by the way that the problems actually are introduced. Right. So there is no real moment where Superman beats bad guy or bad guy beats Superman. There are moments when there's a newscast. Look, newscast. Right. And in that newscast, Superman, he had a recording and that recording shows that he's here to impregnate. Are you guys are you losing me again? Boy,
we lost you right when you said impreg.
Okay. So, so I think it can be best exemplified by the news stuff. Right. So you get news thing. Here you go, a bad guy, whatever, in the news. Everybody hates Superman because, look, he's here to impregnate everyone, right? And very immediately, the entire world is just like, oh, yeah, I hate Superman. And there's zero nuance in that, right? There's no nuance at all. In fact, it's unrealistic because I don't know if you've seen the news, but nobody believes anything that's on there anymore. And they sure as shit aren't going to see it. Oh, you're kidding me. They sure as shit aren't going to see a single piece of news and then just immediately go, oh, yeah, that's something I believe. Right. So it's this super sort of like, I don't know. I understand why they wanted to do shorthand. They wanted to make the problems feel modern without having to drag on. Because if you were to just put out something like that and be like, oh, half the people believe it and half the people don't, then you end up with like a 10 episode thing like The Boys. Right? Yeah. Which is not what they're going for. And I understand that. But, right, it does lead to this situation where everything is like beat. And you don't get any sort of, I don't know, time to breathe. You don't get that sort of relaxation of intensity and then relax and then, you know, sit there and experience. You don't get time for emotions because you're told what emotions to have. And that's problem with the pacing, right? And the pacing, I really would have appreciated it if it were half as big, right? And we'll go on.
I'm curious what exactly you're referring to there.
Well, I'm curious how Nico feels about it.
Me too.
So, well, you know, I know that I said when we were watching it that there were two equally important things.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Let's give context for that.
We do need the context is really funny.
I'm gonna use that in the thumbnail because it sounds funny, but it's also a callback to when near the climax of the film when they have to. Superman's about to go down to Baravia to help them, and then Mr. Terrific's like, "No, I need you in Metropolis." Buckets, just love him to death, just goes, "Oh no, there's two equally important things," and that was just the funniest thing I've heard in a while.
I think he actually said, "Fuck, there's two important things," and it was just so good. It was so good. We both started laughing because it was like it's pure Nicoism, right? Like distilled Nicoism. Oh no, there's two important things.
Oh man. Well, here's the thing, right? Like it was so like I know I said that about that particular moment, but like I think it applies to the overall plot kind of more aptly, because not only do you have the like Superman is or Lex Luthor is like trying to kill Superman, like kind of grand scale plot line. But then you also have like 2 to 3 sub-story zoom-ins with climaxes and like resolutions of their own. And so I agree with you, Em. I do think that the pacing just felt kind of off to me overall. And I think if they had gone half of the scope, it would have maybe told a more concise story and a more focused one.
Yeah, I think this is a TV show, right? I think this was a TV show that they turned into a movie, and it suffers from all the facts that they had to remove a lot of the nuance to make it not a TV show anymore. And I suspect that this was rewritten several times, and they took pieces they liked from here and there, and they threw it all together, and then they were like, okay, well, now you need to make this film because David Zaslav is going to kill you. And they just, they did what they needed to do. And I understand why it happened, and I understand what happened to kind of get us there. But boy, I sure would have appreciated it being maybe half as big, right?
Sure.
Like, I think if they had taken the issues that they had, and instead of making them now he's stuck here, now he's been kidnapped, and now he's been put into the thing with Metamorpho, and now he's, being removed, and now, and they had just done like, I don't know, half as many beats. Just really half as many beats. I think that would have been a lot stronger. And they could have, made a second film out of it. And this is the thing where, like, yeah, I really did enjoy it, but it was rushed, and it felt, like the core problem itself at the heart of this film is that, is Superman our friend, or is Superman here to rape and pillage, right? And that's kind of the core concept that is the problem behind it, right? Because Superman's invincible, so how do you make him have any sort of issue? Well, this is the issue: public persona and public perception. And they take that and they drag it out through literally the whole film, right? And it's the only problem in the entire film. Is the only issue, right? It's the only problem that our protagonist actually suffers is, do people think he's here to rape you? And that's it, right? And then, like, that is extremely dragged out, but in between every half a second, there's another problem that gets resolved immediately. And that's the problem with the pacing.
Yeah. Because the thing is, they really, like, it starts with, like, kind of that public persona, stuff. And then it goes into the, like, he's looking for crypto plot line, and then it goes into the Metamorpho like sub story there. There's like the whole B plot with Lois and Mr. Terrific that one was actually pretty good. Like, I was fine with that. I really enjoyed their dynamic. I thought that was like a good section of the movie. But like, yeah, those 2 plot lines kind of came together a little conveniently, which is fine, but it's also just like, for pacing's sake, why?
Sure.
And again, right, like, we can hypothesize as much as we want, and probably why did they do it? Because they wanted to make a really entertaining film, and they needed to appeal to the Marvel fans, and like, there's a lot of things in there, right, that make a lot of sense. So the pacing's all over. I will follow that up with the tone is also all over, right? So it feels very superhero soupy, right? Sometimes it's a serious political allegory, right? And sometimes it's a Saturday morning cartoon. And sometimes it's a romantic drama, right? So you have like the script kind of jumping between these self-conscious humor to classic romanticism to heavy political commentary with zero finesse in the middle, right? So you get this kind of constant mood whiplash, right? And you have a dramatic scene about the moral implications of Superman's actions, immediately followed by silly dog antics, and then war crimes, right? So like, boy, this movie, what is it trying, like, where's it trying to be? And again, I understand why it happened, and I don't even think that it's not issues you could have addressed, but did we need the Israel-Palestine, allegory in this film in the middle of also issues with, the dog being kidnapped, and also issues with the Lois romance side plot, and like it falls into the same thing as the pacing, where it's just is all over the place.
And there is, this is one of my other kind of bigger issues with this movie, which is like, I guess, like, it is what it is, but like the depiction of Israel, was kind of like very racist.
Yeah, okay.
And like,
I will suspect, Nico, that some people not only didn't know it was the Israel-Palestine issue, right, but also wouldn't be able to tell which side was supposed to be Israel.
Okay. Well, that's good then. Then maybe
Good.
Maybe I have too much of a nose for subtlety then. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you ask James Gunn, that wasn't even intentional.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
That he did say that it was not meant to mirror the Israel-Palestine conflict.
Even though it is so clearly,
there's
whatever
no
his
way.
name is, the guy who gets dropped from Hawk Girl, who I, throughout the entire film, misnamed as Hot Girl.
I don't think it was misnaming.
I did not mean to change it at, like, the first time was a mistake, and then it was just like, yeah, all right, we're going with Hot Girl.
Fair enough.
And whenever she kills Netanyahu, it's clear that is Netanyahu, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is Bibi, and that is nobody else but Bibi. And to suggest that you didn't notice that is like Ubisoft coming out and being like, there's no politics in our games. Okay. All
Have they
right,
really
sure.
said that?
Oh, yeah. The Division is
my
not
God.
political. Ghost Recon, not political. There's no politics in any of their games. Watch Dogs, apolitical game.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's really funny. But yeah, I don't know. It's good. Otherwise, I just think that depiction was
Just,
very on the nose.
The problem is that it is the same. Boy, I feel like every time me and Trav are talking lately, it's like getting deep. So I feel like
that's what I want.
Yeah. Crub. We're on Crub. This is chaos, not deep. We don't go deep.
Oh yeah, you're fair. You're right.
The problem that I had with it specifically is that it's only racist if you realize that it's Israel-Palestine. And then if you go and say, oh, it's not Israel-Palestine, it ends up feeling like a dog whistle.
Well, yeah, because I remember the first week this came out, people were saying, no, it's not Israel-Palestine. This was actually the Russia-Ukraine conflict.
Which it is not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you could make that argument if you weren't very smart, but like it's so clear that this is Israel-Palestine. Like,
that's
it's not
really
even
funny.
There's no question, right? Like, the only way you could do this is if you were to oh boy. And I apologize, Mr. Gunn, if you're watching this, but the only way that you could
James Gunn, friend of the show, thank you for watching.
If you could accidentally turn Russia-Ukraine into Israel-Palestine in this kind of way is if you are just an actual racist, right? Like, so I think it's quite obviously purposeful, and it is a little racially charged for sure, and that just kind of is what it is. I don't want to talk too much about the sort of heavy-handedness of the Israel-Palestine thing, but
the Crub political podcast isn't supposed to launch until next year.
God.
Yeah, right. But it's just not subtle, right? It's as subtle as a brick to the face.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were even trying to be subtle, and it does become a weird political lecture in the middle of what's supposed to be a Superman movie. And I don't necessarily have a problem with the idea that Superman is political, right? Like, the whole, oh, he's an immigrant. He is an immigrant. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Like, we can have that discussion. But it should be maybe handled with a little bit more class. And James Gunn is not a bad writer. but James Gunn does write comedy, and comedy is kind of not always the best place to approach modern day politics. I think that when you comedy too hard on something where people are being murdered every day, like it feels callous and kind of not so great.
Yeah, definitely feels icky.
Yeah.
You know.
But back to the film.
Yeah. So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play?
So I do want to talk a little bit about Lex Luthor, right?
Yes.
So Nicholas Hoult. I think he does a perfectly fine job. I really appreciate. I read somewhere somebody said that this is the first adaptation where the writer doesn't think that Lex Luthor is cool, and I thought about that, and I was like, yeah. Maybe so, right? Because like you think about even in the video games, even in Kill the Suicide Squad, right? Like it's clear that they think of Lex Luthor as a cool, super smart, ultra. He's essentially like
he's our
the
evil
smartest
Iron Man.
Yeah, he's evil Iron Man. He's super smart, and he's kind of a dick, but he's usually actually kind of right? Like they treat him sort of Thanos-y in the way that he's right? Like this Lex Luthor is not cool. But right, like I appreciate that because I think that if you're gonna have a villain, sometimes it's okay to have a villain be villainous, right? Like they don't need to have dark backgrounds that make them humanized. They can just be shitty people. And if we're taking this as sort of an Elon Musk analogy, which I think he, again, more politics, right? Like to say James Gunn did not politicize this movie is it's actually not right. Right? Like right, like it is just a very bad interpretation of this film. So to say that, we have this Elon Musk character there and to just make him plain and simple bad and evil, I think is totally wrong.
Yeah, 100%.
But, and here's the issue I have with it, I don't think that his motivations make a whole lot of sense, right? Like, I don't necessarily need to have a whole lot of explanation for, like, LexCorp's rise and purpose. I'm fine with Thing just exists. That's fine. I don't need to know why Luthor necessarily hates Superman. He hates Superman. Okay, right? Like, you can just hate somebody. That's something that you can just do. And while I think some people have a problem with the fact that James Gunn wrote this to be kind of in situ, right? He wrote this to kind of assume that we know who these characters are, and then just kind of rely on that shorthand instead of like actual development, which is fine, right? Like I don't need to see Uncle Ben get shot.
Yeah.
All right. I don't need to see
Pa Kent in the tornado.
Right. I don't need that. I don't need to see the pearls falling on the ground one more time. Right. Like I don't need that. I don't need a crying Bruce. I don't need it. I'm okay with that. But Spider-Man never needs to get bitten by another spider. That's fine. I'm okay with it.
What if he gets bitten by two? Sorry, never mind.
Like I'm fine with that, right? I'm okay with the shorthand, and I think we all kind of know who Superman is at this point. I think we all know these things. But his motivations are incredibly one-dimensional, right?
Yes.
So if we're gonna make a he's just evil, making him just kind of petty and bitchy, and more than that, I think that he sort of creates this elaborate scheme with multiple dimensions and cloned Supermen but all he's doing is trying to prove that Superman is dangerous, right? And I think that makes very little logical sense in a world that already supports and funds Lex Luthor, right? Like, we already support him. I'm going to say it again, because I think maybe you missed it.
Yeah.
So I think that with your basic goal of proving that Superman is dangerous, I think that doesn't make a whole lot of logical sense, given that this world apparently already supports and funds Lex Luthor. They already think that Lex Luthor is the smartest man on Earth. They already think that he's a good thing to have. They already want to support him, right? And so it ends up feeling like a kind of the Joker problem of a complicated plan in service of a stupid goal, right? He has essentially the most complicated plan you could have, literally inventing other dimensions, right, in order to be like Superman bad, and that feels really, really dumb, right? So
inventing pocket dimensions is actually fucking insane,
right? All to just be like, I'm cooler than you, right? And I am fine with the kind of concept that you can have a really petty, basic ass bitch, Lex Luthor, right? Like I'm fine with that, where he's just this kind of crybaby little whiny bitch boy. Totally fine with it. That's fine, right? But you need to give him the right motivations. He can't just be this one-dimensional, that's all, and then also have a Rube Goldsberg machine that is there to show off that Superman is a rapist, right? Like that's a weird, long-term, complicated thing, and I don't think that it made a whole lot of sense. They could have really done better with, like, they could have made him a narcissist, right? And really go, and they tried, right? But they made him a whiny narcissist. And if they had, instead of making him just a whiny narcissist, if they've gone full in on making him a actual narcissist, right? Where I'm the smartest man on the planet, everyone should love me. I feel like I would have liked that characterization a little bit better.
Yeah. The thing that I was thinking is it feels like there was, at least at one time, a script that, you know, really leaned into that, because we saw a lot of that near the end of the film. You know, with the little pocket thing that Lex makes just starts ripping a hole through the earth, and people on his own team are starting to be like, hey, this is too much, we got to shut it down. And then he's like, no, they chose him, let them die. And then when Ultraman's beating the shit out of Superman, and Lex gives this whole speech about like, or Superman calls him out, it's like, oh, you're driven by envy, and he's like, yes, my envy is a calling to save humanity. Like that on its own is a little microcosm of what I like about Lex Luthor in the comics. Like that is the perfect Lex Luthor in that moment. Just like that, he thinks it's. I hate that. The best way to compare it is like a real life quote about Elon Musk, where it's like he genuinely wants to save the world, but he wants to be the one to do it, or some quote like that. Where I'm like, okay, yeah, that's just how they did Lex Luthor here. But we don't see that in the movie very much. It's just him being spiteful, hateful, jealous, envious, until we kind of get that at the very end. And it felt like we were supposed to see more of that. It felt like we were supposed to have much more development, or at least exposition with his character.
I would have loved it. I would have loved that.
Yeah,
that would have been
too.
a much better, like his motivations, I feel, in the current incarnation just don't make a lot of sense to me. They really do just feel like he's a petty bitch. And like, you can be a petty bitch, but it just, you know, like, why are you doing these crazy things? And I don't know, complicated plan in service of a very stupid goal.
Yeah.
I did enjoy a lot of, like, I mean, I enjoyed the performance, right? It's like you said,
he was great. He was great.
He felt cool, like he felt like not cool, like in like the most thumbs up way as a character.
I loved watching him. Anytime he was on screen, I was just like,
yeah,
ooh.
Me too. The film really does a good job of setting up some of those stressful situations. Like, I think scene by scene, there are a few that you sit there and it's just the most uncomfortable thing in the world.
There were several times while we were watching this where Buckets just went, that was incredibly stressful, and I felt so bad.
Well, it like, because like Superman has some like Kiryu tendencies in this movie. Like, he definitely is giving Kiryu Kazuma in the way that he handles some situations. Like, when she asks to interview him, that's like pure Kiryu. 1-to-1 what Kiryu would do.
I've never played Dragon Quest. What do you mean?
I've also never played Dragon Quest, so I don't know. But yeah, Kiryu Kazuma is just like known for answering questions very like directly, but also like kind of working himself into situations where he might be like less than comfortable. And it's he's just known to be like a kind of an awkward character, you know. And so Superman becomes Kiryu at some point, which is hilarious. I really enjoyed Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific. I thought the Justice Gang was like a kind of a highlight of this movie. Discuss.
I enjoyed the Justice Gang. I mean,
Oh,
right? Like,
that was it. Sorry, hold on. I didn't realize that you were telling us discuss. I thought my brain read that like a script where it's like you reach the part where you have to ad lib something and you just like ad lib conversation. Just say it out loud. All right, what were you saying, Em?
I enjoyed the Justice Gang. I think it was kind of fun to call them, to have that and do whatever. I think my problem isn't with them or their characterizations at all, right? Like, I enjoyed Hawkgirl immensely. I thought Green, Lantern was very Green Lantern-y. I like Nathan Fillion a lot. I think he's a great actor. I love seeing him in things. I even watched... so I liked Nathan Fillion enough that I bought the Castle books. All right, like I enjoy him. I really love Firefly and Serenity. Serenity is like one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So like, I like Nathan Fillion, and I was very happy to see him there. But there were way too many characters, and it's sort of in that same pacing thing, right? It was very overstuffed. There's Superman, there's Lois, there's Lex, there's the dog, there's some robot guys, there's multiple villains, there's the Justice Gang, Hawkgirl, Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific. Like, it is stuffed.
And there's Jimmy and his harem.
Yeah,
Jimmy Olsen,
oh my gosh, yeah,
that's
the part I was gonna...
Cat Grace, and boy, there's just so many characters, right? Like, it is overstuffed with characters, it's overstuffed with ideas, and more than that is that there is, at many times, sort of pointless, cluttered backstory, right? Like, a lot of things I don't feel you need to give backstory to unless you're just doing it for kind of key jangling, right? And, like, I don't feel that I need to have a huge backstory about anything in this story. It doesn't need to be there, right? Like, this is such a basic... When you break it down to its kind of core stuff, it's really basic. Really, really simple. And they could have just shown, like, instead of doing even a text scroll, it could have just started with Superman getting punched and then the hammer of Moravia flying away, right? Like, I didn't need to have a text scroll that shows, oh, Superman just lost his first fight, and then see him lose his first fight. You could have just shown me him lose his first fight, right? Like, that would have been fine. Instead, there's a whole lot of backstory. There's a lot of sort of cluttered exposition in that sort of stuff with all of the side characters, and there's so many side characters. There's so many side characters. And so what ends up feeling is that a lot of the characters feel a little underdeveloped because there's just so many of them that are competing for the screen time, right? And I didn't dislike any of the characters, which makes it even more sort of disappointing. I would love to see Jimmy Olsen's story. I bet that a Jimmy Olsen side story where it was like a six episode limited series would have been really fascinating, right? Just Jimmy Olsen. Yeah, it would have been great. Do that with Cat Grace in there and, show the Lois character and expand on that. That would have been a lot of fun. Do the Justice Gang as their own thing. That would have been a whole lot of fun. But when you're even getting like, Pedro Pascal showing up, at the last second and having, Peacemaker show up, and like there's so many characters that is thrown in there, and even though a lot of them are just cameos, they end up feeling very key jangling, right? And okay, Pedro Pascal
actually in this movie he was played by Sean Gunn, actually.
Right, but it's Pedro Pascal's character. No, so Pedro Pascal and having Peacemaker show up are the definition of key jangles, right? But like the lower characters end up feeling that way too because of how little time they're actually given to kind of warm up and show up, right? Like Cat Grace is in there. She gets a whole lot of screen time, but that's a character that like is meaningless to the story. She doesn't do anything. She doesn't do anything even at the end, even when they're like doing their big, we're going to avenge up here. We're going to do our superhero walk down the thing. And then she just disappears, right? Like she's not important. So why is she there? And a lot of the characters end up feeling that way, where if they just not, they could have been in the background, that would have been fine. They didn't have to be positioned like they're a major B character and then not be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I see where you're coming from. And
I'm aligned.
I feel like I agree with a lot of what you're saying. It's just also, it's like not as big of a deal to me, I guess, but not trying to like grandstand or anything. Just like, I guess I wouldn't have thought about it that much unless you brought it up.
Well, I mean, we started this whole thing off, right?
That.
We started this whole thing off with this film's not bad. It doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Right? I just have some problems that would make it a better film. And, this is the thing I do. I'm a critic, and so I'm going to look at these sort of things and figure that out. And I think that is fine, right? Like, you are allowed to love a film, and you can think this is the best superhero film. And it's definitely one of the better superhero films for a long time. Yeah. Right? I can't think of one that I enjoyed more necessarily. It was super enjoyable. Watching it with friends was a good experience. But I have some problems with it.
Yeah, of course.
And like, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think that, being able to differentiate that, being able to, like you were saying earlier, being able to enjoy things while still saying that they're bad and being able to dissect why you feel those things, I think that's a healthy thing.
Yep.
What do you think about all the characters, Nico?
I really enjoyed Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner, but I think Mr. Terrific was kind of like a show stealer in a way. Like he was just so cool. Like good character. Like it was just like it was fun, and it was like, they gave him his big battle scene that I thought was pretty cool.
Where he's like flinging balls everywhere.
Yeah, and it was just great. And like, someone calling them, oh, like your balls or whatever, and he goes, they're T-spheres. I just thought it was funny, and he was just like a very charismatic and charming character.
Yeah, I think they worked at that pretty hard because they gave him, when we watched it, I was like, oh, this is the Guardians in the Galaxy rat shooting scene. Like this is where they introduced Star-Lord at the beginning of the very first one. That's what he gets. That's his scene. And I understand why they did it, because he's definitely the character nobody knows. Yeah. And you can get away with the hot girl just being a hot girl, right? Like that's fine. People are willing to accept that.
Most people,
and people
know
who Green Lantern is. And people know who Green Lantern is, so they're willing to just kind of go with that.
Yeah.
And, like you need to do whatever if you're going to introduce this new kind of character that most people have never heard of. So I understand why they gave him his rat kicking moment. It makes perfect sense to me. And it was super enjoyable, but it's also, right? Like it's that sort of thing where you if you didn't feel... This is maybe the perfect film for a cynic, because you can see the cynicism in everything, right? Like it's really very prevalent, where you can be like, but the reason they did this is this. And like, oh boy, it feeds right into that. There's a lot of love, but it is still a Warner Brothers heavy-handed sort of,
That's a really interesting way of putting it, that you can feel the cynicism. That is I need to like spend some time thinking about that. That's interesting.
It's right?
It's really true. I mean, especially
I think you're absolutely right.
Especially since you consider, okay, I'm gonna spoil the Boys comics because I don't think anyone will ever read them, and also
they're not good.
And also, the TV show is much better.
Anymore? I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Better than the comics?
Save it for the Boys cast.
Good. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying whether it's not a commentary on the quality of the show, just in relation to the comics. It is better. So like the whole plot of this movie, then, like the cynicism clearly, like they just did The Boys. Like the Ultraman storyline is literally Black Noir and Homelander, like 1-to-1 in the comics. They had a clone of
Well, okay, but it's actually the other way around. Just to be clear, right? Like Ultraman, I think
For the
has
record,
been
yeah,
around.
this is a the interesting thing. I'll get this out of the way. The character, very much with how they were portrayed, that is Bizarro. It is Bizarro, beginning to end. He's a clone by Lex Luthor. We see him sucked into his own universe. He's stupid. He needs demands. Literally that, but they call him Ultraman. Which I'll let M continue what he was going to say.
These characters have been around for a long time, right? The reason that you see them in The Boys is because they're in Superman first.
I see. Well, I mean, that certainly makes sense to me.
Yeah, like The Boys didn't invent this. I think what's going to end up happening with a lot of these sort of older characters as we continue to see them show up, because, you know, we have mined film already for most of the major stuff, and now they're going real deep into certain characters to try and find older stuff that they can pull up. What we're going to end up seeing is that a whole lot of people don't really know that that's where that originally came from, right? That's going to end up happening with a lot of these characters, where it's like, oh, wow, it's weird that this is just a copy of that guy, and it's like, no. It's the other way around. Yeah. And that's going to keep happening. It's going to keep happening, you know, because these characters are now, like, Superman
we're going to
is
be getting
100 years old.
We're going to be getting it with even just Marvel DC comparisons. Like Doctor Strange was a knockoff of Doctor Fate, and we saw people being like, "Oh, that's just Doctor Strange." When Doctor Fate showed up in Black Adam, the best DCU movie.
Doctor Fade.
Yeah. But like no, like it's the other way around. Doctor Strange was inspired by this character, and it's a weird in that case. It's like a weird Ouroboros of just like never ending eating its own tail.
It makes sense to me. Crazy. I mean, yeah. So overall, I think good movie, worth a watch. Even if
I still have more to say. I don't know what you're talking about. I have plenty more. To say.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm happy to let you keep going.
I have more. I'm not wrapping it up. What are you talking about?
Let's try to wrap this up in the next 30 minutes.
We can do that. So I'm going to tell you maybe something that's nitpicky, but was a problem I had with this character of Superman. Now that we're kind of moving on, and I've already hinted at it a little bit. Boy, Superman is super weak. Superman is constantly getting beaten up. And, you know, like that's fine that we're going to have a Superman who is weak. But he's also kind of stupid. And that's fine too, I suppose. But we spent 2 hours watching Superman basically get his ass kicked, right? Like repeatedly up until the last, 10 minutes of the film. And it doesn't feel like there's ever a moment where Superman's in control, right? Like it's never a moment where he's in control. He's always struggling. He's always on the defensive. He's always needing help from other people. He's definitely along for the ride. Yeah, right. Like this is less a Superman film than it is anything else, and like that's fine. I get it. I get the problem with Superman. We've always had the problem. What is the problem with Superman? He's invulnerable and invincible, and he has no limits. He's super powered, and he's always stronger. He can get stronger than anything. He can just keep getting stronger, right? Like that is a problem, right? And that's why every single story. And that's why every single story around Superman inevitably revolves around two things: kryptonite and Lois dying. And that's it, right? Oh, kryptonite and Lois, he can't save everyone, right? And so you end up with this sort of problem of Superman, right? Like it's why there's never been a good Superman game. Because how do you do it? He's invulnerable and invincible and super powerful. And there was a game that did it a little bit. It wasn't Superman, but it was clearly a Superman archetype, where there are just so many problems happening on a world and you can't solve them all, right? They happen and you can go save this person or you can go save this person and you just have to kind of triage it. And so like, I understand why the problems are there with Superman, but the fact that he always needs help from someone else, that he always needs help from his dog, that he's always on the defensive, that, you know, Superman is boring because he's too powerful. And I feel that they may have overcorrected, right? And they ended up making him kind of pathetic for most of the movie. And I don't hate it, but right, like I get it, it's hard. And I think that this is the issue that comes back to that same sort of thing of pacing and too many characters where we didn't have time to explore the weakness of Superman, so he just had to be weak, right? They didn't have time to explore sort of the dynamics of Superman, so he just had to be weak. They didn't have time to say, oh, well, Superman can't, choose. There's two people dying. What does he do? No, we can't do that. He just has to be weak. And, showing, the squirrel scene. The squirrel scene makes sense because it shows sort of the wholesome characterization of Superman. It shows that he cares about everyone. He will save everyone. But also, he let somebody die to save that squirrel. Right? And that is the thing we didn't get to see. Right? Like, in that particular kaiju battle where all these people, somebody else was getting squished to death and he saved a squirrel. Now, if they'd shown that he was the speed of the X-Men character, I can't remember his name, where they it's Quicksilver, where it's his infinite speed and everything is stopped, right? And he's saving a squirrel in that situation, totally fine. But when it is clear that he is in fact not, that he is letting somebody's mother be squished to death by a thing, right? Like, that ends up feeling like it's a weird choice in that case, when we also have Superman being very weak, right? Mm-hmm. Where he's saving a woman in a car from being squished, but nobody in the building, right? Like, I wanted to see the dichotomy of you can't save everybody. Yeah. And instead of that, instead of showing that you can't save everybody, they have him saving a squirrel and a woman in a car, right? And then letting him be weak. And that felt like a misstep there. If they had instead been like, we're going to show that Superman is actually this OP character, but because of that, he still has limitations, like, time. He only has so much time and so many people he can save. He can't be everywhere, right? That's like the whole interesting part of Superman, is that he chooses to save one city, right? I'm going to save Delaware. This city. Right. We're saving this one city and that other city's going to die. And I accept that, but I'm going to do the best that I can. And I can't save everybody. You can't save everybody, Clark. Wow, right? Like, that's the thing. Learning to cope with that. And I feel like we just didn't see that, because instead of allowing him to be that, they wanted to make him really weak. And I feel that makes it a little boring.
I didn't mind the weakness. I think I tend to be on the page of he's OP, and I liked that he was weak. But I do agree with you that, like, as much as I said, like, I didn't think the Ex Machina moments were overwhelming, he did require a lot of help.
He requires a lot of help, like a lot. He doesn't do anything himself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's very few moments in the entire film where he is the one who's actually making the action happen. Right? There's almost no moment where he's not reacting.
Yeah. No, it's true.
And again, I fully understand why they chose to do this. I just think that there should have been, over the 5-6 years that they've been working on this, somebody had to have come up with a smarter decision. Right? And maybe it's an occasion where, like, you can't write smart if you aren't smart, right? Like, a lot of people have a hard time writing Sherlock Holmes. They just do, right? Like, you can't write a Sherlock Holmes because you're actually not that bright, right? Like, it's hard to come up with these brilliant kind of concepts and figure stuff out. And that's why you end up with the shorthand of he just sees everything, right? Instead of actually being smart, he just knows all the things. He walks in a room and instantly sees the footprint, right? Like, that's where that kind of stuff happens instead of, like, smart, right? And I'm fine with that to a certain point, but maybe that's what this is that they just couldn't come up with a smart way to make Superman both strong and vulnerable, instead of just saying, we're going to throw kryptonite at him and we're going to, have Lois in danger again, right? Like, maybe that's what it was. Because I really would have liked to see him have that sort of... This version of Superman, I think, was a wholesome, fun version.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to see the wholesome, fun version try to figure out how to save two people when you can't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
think
I,
that would've
I,
been-
I agree.
I don't
I
like
agree.
the two equally important things storylines.
We've established that.
Yeah.
That's
I
so
think
funny.
that's
I'm
really
sorry.
important.
I wish that
don't
wasn't
like
funny
any
to
of
me,
two of
but it's
those
so
things.
funny.
I just
I'm
think that's
always
really
like-
important for Superman, man. Right?
Yeah, no,
'cause
like that
otherwise he
is
can do
that
it.
is one of the most important things. I think it. Here, I have a copy of it right over here. This story, which is what inspired a lot of this movie, All-Star Superman, which I'm realizing my webcam is mirrored, and I'll have to fix that later. But one of the big things in that story is like, well, in that movie, he's like suffering from some magical disease that's actually killing him, and so like the stakes are already incredibly high. Like, what does he choose to do when he himself needs that attention? But Superman is inherently a selfless character.
Yep, he will kill himself.
Yeah,
right?
and
You
like
know?
there's this whole there's this really touching moment where like one of the big plot points is like, well, all of this is going on, he's helping a teenager not commit suicide. And it's stories like, or it's moments like that which make it like my favorite Superman story, which gave me hope for the character, no pun intended. Where in time when I was one of those kids at the time, that was saying like, oh, Superman's too overpowered, like how do you even do a story about him? And I feel like that conflict of, like Superman literally can't save everybody, but he's gonna try, like that is some of the most interesting storytelling that you can do with the character, because it kind of jumps back to something that you were talking about earlier, like how Superman's supposed to be like this super OP character. How do you show weakness? Like, oh, well, make him have a secret harem, or at least tell people. And so because like brain, that's also one of like the important things about like Pa Kent usually dies from a heart attack to show like, hey, you can't, like sometimes you can't punch your way out of this, like sometimes you're gonna lose people. And we didn't get that in that movie, not literally with like the fact that Pa Kent is still alive by the end of the movie, but also like just that conflict just wasn't the focus here. And I'm okay with that, because I love the story that they ended up telling. But that is definitely something that is on my Superman trauma wish list, that I want to put this guy through, not being able to save someone.
It would have been, I think, so much more interesting. And this is my last sort of point, I guess, really, is that it falls into kind of the same superhero destruction that we see in every single film, right?
Yeah, but the city was evacuated, so it's okay. And everyone follows evacuation orders.
Yeah, exactly. There's always a massive city-destroying battle where buildings are collapsing and CGI destruction everywhere, but miraculously nobody dies, right? And we get yet another CGI city-leveling finale with meaningless destruction and all this chaos everywhere. But he punched the teeth into the
camera, dude.
Yeah, right? Like, that sort of thing happening, and then nobody being at risk and not getting to see sort of the hard part of being Superman, right? Like, being Superman is supposed to be, the reason that he's happy and wholesome is because he's infinitely powerful and he's accepted, right? Like, that's the thing. And sort of imagine, Nico, right now, sitting where you are, you could hear somebody being robbed, and you could hear somebody being murdered, and you could hear somebody being raped, and you know that those are in Atlanta and Chicago and Los Angeles, and you can't save all three of them. You could maybe save two, but you definitely can't save all three. Imagine living with that every day, all the time, right? Like, every moment you go to sleep. If you go to sleep, you're not saving somebody, and that person's going to die, or they're going to be horrifically traumatized because you decided to go to sleep. You went to work. You're at work, and you have to work because, like, you can't just be not working, right? And while you're at work, well, people are being murdered and dying and awful things are happening. And every time you can't go on vacation. Vacation? Are you kidding? You're going to be sitting there on a beach while somebody's being murdered in the town next, right? That's a really interesting thing about Superman. And it didn't show up here at all because everybody gets evacuated and we have to save the squirrel, right? Like that, it all kind of becomes the same sort of thing, right? Where we're removing sort of the repercussions of other people's actions. Lex Luthor doesn't care if these people die, but we don't get to experience his callousness affecting Superman because, well, everybody's gone. They're all evacuated. We got rid of them in minutes. Right. And I feel like that's just such a misstep because, boy, wouldn't it have been fascinating to see Superman grapple with Lex Luthor being callous about people's lives? And instead, well, the buildings are slightly off. Like that's the end at the end of the film. That's the only repercussion is that the walls are 6 inches off. And that's it. That's the only thing that happened. I feel like we could have seen a lot. But altogether, I did enjoy the film. I know that I've been, bitching about it for an hour.
It's okay.
It was entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
No, I love listening to you talk about this kind of stuff because, like, this is not stuff that I think about. Like, I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of things that you've said that I disagree with, but it's like, maybe disagree is the wrong term, but like, I'm like, I wouldn't even have thought of that, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's one I was super excited to have both of you be a part of this, to watch it together with you guys, because both of you bring a perspective that I am not used to seeing, which is one of the reasons I've been so quiet during this. I haven't been talking as much as I normally would if I was invited on to be a spoiler co-grubber. But no, like I love hearing your guys' thoughts about this. Especially Bucket talking about important things. It's always very
two
funny.
Equally important things. The worst thing that can happen.
Yeah,
I don't. It's just so much. It's just so much.
It's double.
Yeah,
they could just let him like.
Double.
They could just let him, have one difficult problem to solve and not worry about saying you can't save everybody.
Right? Like we almost got we almost got the problem I wanted. We almost had that.
No, but then
thankfully
Guy Gardner was there.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully he had the Justice Gang to go and handle it for him, and they handled it perfectly, and there was no drama whatsoever.
And I think they could have left that. They left like one of those plot lines out entirely.
No, I disagree. I think that I think that having showing the Justice Gang finally be like, you know what, like we will intervene in this. By the way, the Justice Gang was funded by Maxwell Lord. They are like a government funded Justice League, and they still killed the president of a foreign country. I want to see how that plays out. Like there better be repercussions for that.
They murdered the president of a foreign country. Yeah.
Like regardless of if we think he deserved it, I thought it was pretty cool. Like, yeah, they literally took that into their own hands, decided I am the law, and did it. Cool, good for them. I want to see how that story goes out.
Yeah, I suspect we will see nothing, unfortunately.
Yeah, me too. Or if we do, it'll be in like Peacemaker.
No, yeah, because they brought in, I think it was Rick Flag at the end.
Rick Flag Sr.
He was throughout like the whole movie off and on.
No, I know that, but like at the end they specifically called out like they have the power now.
Oh yeah, like the metahumans run this show now. Yeah. Something like that.
Right.
Yep. And we'll see how they address that in Peacemaker, which I'm looking forward to, because Peacemaker season 1 was super enjoyable.
Me too. Aligned.
I look forward to DC kind of being good. That would be great.
Crazy idea.
Right. Outside of just like Batman, DC has been really bad for a really long time. And I'm hoping that they do a good job. That would be great.
And even then, like, maybe it's because I was a child when they came out, but like even like the Dark Knight movies don't hit like they used to.
I never liked the Dark Knight movies. They're just not for me. Like tonally, it was just a little too self-serious.
That sounds perfectly on brand for you, and yet I was still a little surprised to hear that.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite. Like I just like they failed to make me care in the same way that some of the other ones did. I like Batman. I tend to also like this is like a very much a personal taste thing. Like I don't have an issue with the quality of those movies. They're just like not for me. Because I tend to like more when Batman is a detective. So that's why I like Pattinson. Like
I mean,
Yeah, he's
I think
definitely more-
Pattinson is
Yeah.
just way
Mhm.
better, regardless.
That's controversial.
I don't think it is. I think the Batman is better than the Dark Knight. Maybe not like as the whole
I think
trilogy,
Batman
but
is better. Yeah, Batman is a better Batman.
Mm.
I enjoy the Batman.
You think
a lot
Batman's better?
I think the Batman is better than the Dark Knight Batman.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought you were making a joke. Like, I think Batman's better than Batman. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, thanks, buddy.
No, like I think he's a better Batman.
I agree
because he's a detective, and I like that too.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
I
a
think
lot
that's
of
all I have to
nuances
say
there that I
about
want to talk about, but this is not the Batman spoiler cast that's on the channel
Not the
3
Batman
years ago.
spoiler cast.
No, it's true. And also I haven't seen the Penguin yet.
I thought you were gonna say I haven't seen the Batman. I was gonna cry.
I love the Penguin.
I need to
love
watch
so
it still.
much.
I forgot
I
that
need
was
to
a
watch
thing.
The Penguin.
There's so many
Yeah.
shows I need to watch, like, and significantly less important shows. But like, I haven't finished Ironheart. I haven't finished Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I haven't finished Eyes of Wakanda. Just came out to like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which means it'll probably be okay.
I've never
I
heard
think
of
you could
Ironheart.
skip literally all of those
Mhm.
and go watch the Penguin instead.
Yeah,
This
and
is-
I think
It's
I
really good.
think I might because it looks really good. I've heard amazing things about it.
Legitimately great. I would recommend the Penguin wholeheartedly.
So
with
do
no
you
reservations.
think Pattinson should be the new Batman for the DCU?
Yes.
It's hard because it does, like tonally. Does that fit into?
Tonally, it does not fit
Superman?
one bit. Not one bit.
Does
No.
that fit into Peacemaker? Does it fit into? I don't think it fits, even though it is the best piece of DC material we've gotten in a long time.
Yeah.
And like I have issues with the Batman in terms of like Act 3 for sure. Like
Sure.
it's so clear what they were going to do there, and then they just didn't have the balls.
They wanted to
do
have
it.
some big action scene, yeah.
Yeah, they just didn't have the balls, and that sucks because they
It
really
did lead though
could have made
to
it fascinating.
a shot in that movie that legitimately brings out an emotional reaction out of me, and maybe that's just the estrogen talking, but it legitimately brings out a reaction from me every time I watch it of Batman holding the flare, leading the people out of the flooded area. That top-down shot, I
Yeah.
love that shot so much. Every time I watch that movie, it just makes me go, "We're so
it's a
fucking
pretty
back."
shot.
Yeah, that
It's a
shot
pretty
is
shot.
Tommy's major thumbs.
But Batman should have been suffering there instead. And
Yeah.
if you'd like, right,
should have been
after
shot.
you watch the Penguin, right, we can talk.
Okay,
And we'll
fair
talk
enough.
about all of that, and I will explain why I think that the third act of the Batman ruins it so much.
It kind of does. Like I we'll talk about that later. But yeah.
But then the
This is-
guy in
that's
the
all.
mask says, "I'm vengeance," and he goes, "Man."
But he could have been
Like
vengeance.
but then like Batman hears that and he goes, "Ah, shucks, you're right. I can't do that."
Mhm.
It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
And then
I
Batman
really
goes
like
like,
it.
"These people need hope."
I do really like it. I like it a lot. It has some problems.
Yeah,
And that
no,
seems to
you're
be
right.
kind of how I stand on all of these things, right? Like, I like it.
Well,
But
okay,
it has
so-
some problems.
I'm not trying to challenge you at all here, Em. I just want to genuinely hear. What do you think? Do you have a perfect movie? Do you have a movie that you like? Just any
The
movie. It doesn't have
Emperor's
to be
New Groove,
superhero.
man.
Emperor's,
The
New,
Emperor's
Groove.
New Groove. And Kung Fu Panda
Did
1
not
and 2.
expect that.
Both 1 and 2. Kung Fu
Please.
Panda 2 is absolutely stellar. It's one of the best
I loved
films
Kung
ever
Fu
made.
Panda too.
That's crazy.
Emperor's New Groove is truly unbelievably good.
This is-
Serenity is truly unbelievably good.
That's
I love The
respectable.
Fifth
Yeah,
Element.
but have
one
you
of the best
considered
films
that
ever
he
made.
turns into a llama?
He does. Yeah.
Yama
Um,
pajamas.
Fifth Element is truly one of the best films ever made. I love it. It's so brilliant. Luc Besson is great. I love all of his stuff.
Okay.
And I can even defend the questionable stuff because I think people are not able to have any sort of media literacy, and that's important.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the motto of Crub is we don't have media
Right.
literacy.
Yeah, right. And maybe Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio would maybe
That was really
be
good.
like-
That was really good.
that might be in my top 6 now. So I think that's 6 films instead of 5. I've got a top 6.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think those are all like basically perfect.
You've fallen for my
films.
trap. I just wanted a watch list.
There you go. You got my watch list.
I need to go watch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
It's
You
really
will hate
good.
it, but it's the
It's
best.
true. You
film.
will hate it. It is about a puppet.
No,
Yeah, it's
I don't.
about-
I don't like Muppets. I don't like Muppets.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not. Other type of puppets are fine.
Well,
You know what I mean?
it's
Like,
one of the best films ever made, like truly. And
It's like
boy,
Death
if
Stranding.
if it doesn't put you in a serious emotional moment, right? Like then you are not my friend because you're not human. You're a bug.
understood.
And
Okay,
speaking of
well, I
bugs, here's our Patreon question of the day. Number 1, M, when will you cry?
Yes.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for watching. Anything else you guys want to get off your chest before we wrap this up?
Watch
I'm gonna go
Superman
have a
if you
porch
haven't.
beer, man.
Yeah.
Wait, what about root beer?
I said I'm gonna go have a porch beer.
Oh,
Nice.
okay. That sounds nice. I'm on my way over right now, actually. All right, thank you
Yeah.
for
Right.
watching, everybody.
Check under your seat.
Please remember to CRUBScribe and CRUBCAST and whatever we tell people. I don't remember. I don't know how to run this show. Goodbye.